Hi guys, how are you all doing? I hope you guys are all doing great. I just want to review, just before I get onto that, I want to welcome everyone to my channel and I hope you guys will be back for a lot more episodes or editions of this channel. But today we've just completed the French Open, so I really want to just review this match. But the most important thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the GOAT debate. Rafael Nadal has 22 Grand Slams, two above Federer or Djokovic. So we're going to really discuss what are the implications of that for the GOAT debate and who is the GOAT right now. So the main purpose of this video is to give you an updated version of the GOAT debate with Nadal at 22 Grand Slams, Roger Federer's at 20, and Djokovic is also at 20 Grand Slams. And also the chances for them to win now are less. With Djokovic has turned 35, Nadal 36, and Federer's 40 going on 41 in a couple of months. So the ability to get a lot of Grand Slams is going to be significantly reduced, guys. So that's what I want to do today, right, guys? I want to talk about the GOAT debate, but quickly let's go over the match quickly. Casper Ruud, he modeled his style of play based on Nadal. He's watched all Nadal's titles. Nadal is his hero. He modeled his game on Nadal. Even he has this thing about being cool and calm and not throwing rackets during matches. So personally, he wants to be like Nadal. But when it comes down to this, the imitation isn't as good as the real thing. Like Nadal's strong on his forehand. Sorry, Rudd is strong on his forehand. Nadal is stronger, right? The backhand is the weaker side for both, but for Nadal, it's still quite a bit stronger than for Rudd. So when you consider they're both stronger on the forehand, but Nadal's stronger, they're both weaker on the backhand. Um, they're both weaker on the backhand, sorry, but then Nadal's much less weak than Casper Ruud is. So it's not like when he's playing Djokovic or someone else with a better backhand. No, they're both stronger on the forehand, weaker on the backhand, but Nadal's weaker side is better than Casper Ruud's weaker side. So it's not really one thing to say I'm better at you at a particular thing. It's just to say Nadal's weaker side, the backhand, is much stronger than Casper Ruud's weaker side, the backhand. So a better version. And then the stronger side, they're both strong on the forehand, but Nadal's stronger, more consistent. They both got good topspin. But yeah, they both got great topspin. But then again, Nadal's stronger there. He's much better when it comes to the topspin. Sorry, guys, just something over here on the side, the wall. So that's the problem. They're both consistent. They're both good at defense. They're both stronger on their forehand, and they're both weaker on their backhand. And they're just very. He's like a model of Nadal. But like I said, the weaker side for Rudd is weak for Nadal, but better for Nadal than for Casper Ruud. Stronger side, they're both strong. Nadal's even more stronger. They're both good at consistency and defense. Nadal's a bit better. They both produce topspin, particularly on their forehand, to make the ball bounce higher. But for Nadal, he's better at that, and he's much more effective at it, and he's doing a much better job at it. So it's just like when you're playing someone who does all the same things you do, but does it better than you in every way. There's not you can't just say, I'm going to serve volley, I'm going to use a big serve, I'm going to attack shortened points, take time away. I'm going to overpower the guy, or drop shots or whatever it is, because that's not your game. You do what your opponent does, but your opponent does all those things better. So you just end up being in these long grinding rallies that you're losing because you're good at rallying, but the other guy's better. And there's nothing you can do but keep going back to those rallies, keep trying your best, and every time get disappointed because the other guy's doing it better than you. You don't have anything else to go to. You can't say my backhand's stronger than his, but he's strong on the forehand. So I'll try to make it a backhand to backhand rally. No, If it's a backhand to backhand rally, Nadal's backhand is, like I said, stronger than his. If it's a forehand to forehand of both guys' strength, then again, Nadal's doing better. Consistency, defense, top spin. So it's just long rallies that Nadal is out rallying him and doing a better job because they're both good at long rallies, but Nadal's better. And Rudd, if he's not winning the rallies, he's got nothing else to go to because his game is rallying, so is Nadal. Nadal's doing it better than him. There's nothing he can do. They're both weaker on the backhand, stronger on the forehand, but Nadal's better than him on the weaker backhand and the stronger forehand. The top spin, the defense, the consistency, just a better version. So it ends up just being long rallies where Nadal's just out rallying him, and it's both of their strength, but Nadal's more stronger at it than him. So there's nothing much Casper Ruud can do other than just be involved in the rallies and realize Nadal will be better than him. When it's forehand to forehand, Nadal will be better backhand. When it's about topspin, Nadal will topspin better. So just every area they're doing the same thing. Nadal's a bit better. He's just being out rallied. He's got simply nothing to go to. So the score was, if I can confirm, from my memory, it was 6-3, 6-3, 6-love. But I mean, I like to just confirm the score. Let me do that for you guys. But yeah, 6-3, 6-3, 6-love. Yes, I was right. So Nadal is your champion. That's 14 French Open titles for Rafael Nadal, 22 Grand Slams, and he's taken out Casper Ruud 6-3, 6-3, 6-love. I predicted it straight sets. And guys, before I get into the GOAT debate, right, I want to remind you guys of a couple of things, right? The mainstream media, the tennis commentators, most other people who do a channel like mine, they all went with a narrative like Medvedev was going to beat Nadal at the Australian Open final. I said Nadal in 5, I got it right. Almost everyone said Djokovic to win this French Open. I said Nadal, and I said specifically in the match, Nadal would win in 4 sets, right? Because I'm not on a pro Djokovic bandwagon or anything like that. I just see things for what they are, right? I saw that Nadal could win that Australian Open. I saw that he could win this French Open. And I just felt like if he wasn't injured or too affected from the injury, he's the best player in clay, so he's going to get it. Yeah, yeah, and that's what I felt, and that's exactly what happened, guys. So if you want to get real knowledge from the future, I advise that you definitely subscribe to this channel because, like I've said, like people have these ideas and they all get the same ideas through tennis commentators, through people doing other YouTube channels. Like they say Djokovic is going to win everything, so they're more pro Djokovic. So when Djokovic wins, they're right. When Djokovic doesn't win, they're wrong. But it's just they're always predicting Djokovic. There's tennis commentators, most channels. So to just say Djokovic is right, is going to win everything. So when he wins, I'm right, and when he doesn't, I'm wrong. That's what most YouTube channels are saying. That's what most commentators are saying, right? And they're never right when Nadal wins because they never pick him. They're only right when Djokovic wins because that's all they pick, right? I've said Djokovic can win sometimes too, but I change it based on who's more likely to win at that time. I don't just say Djokovic is going to win everything, and if not, it'll be Medvedev and Nadal will never win anything. So every time Nadal wins, it's a surprise. Every time Djokovic wins, it's expected, and it's a shock if there's ever a Grand Slam that Djokovic doesn't win, right? So getting back to this GOAT debate, right? A part of the reason why most people are wrong because the feeling was that Nadal his game is too physical. He likes long rallies. He gets injured a lot, and there's all this stuff about that. So when he hits 30, he won't do it anymore. Djokovic will be younger. He'll be fitter. He'll be fresher. He'll win everything. He'll get the most Grand Slams. He'll outlast Nadal, right? My feeling was Nadal always gets injured, so he'll keep getting injured and keep coming back. But when it comes to physical fitness and endurance, he's better than Djokovic. So as you get older and you decline and your fitness declines, especially your ability to play 5 sets and play grand slams, when that starts to decline, right? The most fittest guy will stay fitter for longer and for more years, and they'll decline at an older age. Whereas someone who doesn't have the extreme level of fitness, their fitness is going to drop off at a younger age. So I felt like Nadal will outlast Djokovic, but of course, due to being a more fitter player, and his fitness will last till a later age. But I feel like yes, he'll keep being injured as he was when he was even 25. But he'll outlast Djokovic. He'll keep coming back from the injuries. He'll outlast Djokovic. That was my view. So, but most tennis commentators, former greats, most YouTube channels all felt like Nadal's injured all the time. His career has to finish at 30. And then when he got to 2015, 2016, when he hit around 30, then 29 to 30, he went for 2 years and didn't win a Grand Slam right as he hit 30. So it was actually 3 years. He went from the French Open 2014 to the French Open 2017 when he turned 31 during the 2017 French Open. So he didn't win from 28 years of age to 31, and that's around the age people can't win anymore. And they always felt Nadal will break down early and have to retire early, right? So the narrative was always like, we're expecting this to happen. Now he's hit 30. Oh, what a coincidence. We said he would not be able to win any more Grand Slams past 30. And now he's hit 30 and he's not won one for 3 years. That's what we're expecting. We said it would happen. We said he'd be injured. We said he'd retire early. Now he's hit 30. It's been 3 years and he can't win a Grand Slam. So that was the narrative. We expected it to happen. And what we expected to happen did happen. So therefore, Djokovic is going to win everything. And then at that time, 2015, 2016, when Nadal won no Grand Slams, Djokovic was winning everything. He actually won 4 Grand Slams in a row in 2015, 2016. The gap was like 6 or 7 where Nadal was ahead of him. Now he pushed it down to 2, but it was falling away for Nadal at a fast rate. A 6 Grand Slam lead over Djokovic pushed down to 2. Nadal's not won a Grand Slam for 3 years, right when he's 30, and that's when they predicted he would break down and retire. So based on that, everybody said Djokovic was going to just continue winning at this amazing rate, and Nadal can't win anymore like we thought because he's always injured and now he's 30 and he's done. And that was the narrative then from 2015 and 2016, right? But I just felt like Nadal is very fit, right? And he'll keep coming back from injuries. But when it comes to retirement, sometimes you're forced to retire with an injury, but usually it's about your physical fitness declines as you get older. And I felt like Nadal's more fit than Djokovic. So Djokovic's fitness will decline first as they both get older because he's not as fit. Whereas Nadal's going to be able to stretch out his fitness further into his later years, into his late 30s, maybe even to 40, due to the fact that he's very obsessed with gym, muscles, physical fitness. So because of that, he's going to be able to be fit for longer and stay fitter to an older age. Whereas Djokovic is going to start to get tired and run down and lower on energy first as they get older. But Nadal, yes, he'll have the injuries, but keep coming back. That was my view. So once we hit 2017, then now it's all changed. And what I've said has been proved to be right because Nadal, since the age of 31, has won 8 Grand Slams. So he won the US Open and the French Open in 2017, the French Open in 2018, US and French Opens in 2019, French Open in 2020, and then 2022, 2021, a bad injury year. Again, people might think it's over for him like they did in 15 and 16, but now he's won the first 2 Grand Slams of 2022, the Australian Open and the US Open. So 8 Grand Slams over the age of 31 years of age. They thought he was done at 30. So my theories turned out to be correct. And even now, people predicted Djokovic for this French Open because their narrative that Nadal, they expected Nadal to be finished at 30. It looked like he was finished at 30 because he went 3 years without a Grand Slam, and that was their mind. That's what the situation is. And they don't want to admit they're wrong. So instead, they want to say, okay, Nadal continued it a few more years. But really, what we've always believed is going to happen. Nadal's finished. We're predicting against him all the time. Every time he wins, we're shocked, and that's the last one. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So that's what people believe. And because it hasn't turned out that way, they want to keep believing, well, it hasn't happened, but it will happen. So Djokovic is still the 2015 and 2016 Djokovic, and Nadal's still the 2015, 2016 Nadal. They don't want to admit that they were wrong. They don't want to admit that that didn't happen. So instead, they keep predicting based on what's happened in 2015 and 2016, right? That Djokovic was winning everything, and Nadal looks finished at the age of 30 like we expected he would be, and Djokovic is 2 Grand Slams behind Nadal. So since 2017, January 1, 2017, they've both won 8 Grand Slams each. And the lead of 2 Grand Slams at the end of 2016 in favor of Nadal, it's still 2 Grand Slams difference in 2022. And now Djokovic has got less time to catch up those Grand Slams, right? So 5 years ago, I think Nadal was around 31. He was 29, 30. There was a lot more time to catch up the 2 Grand Slams. Because Nadal's continued to win, now 5 years have passed and Nadal's 36, Djokovic is 35, and Djokovic is still in the same position, 2 Grand Slams behind Nadal. So what I'm going to say is I predicted all of this, and I saw that this would change back in 2017. It has done what I said it would do, and people don't want to admit they're wrong. So they want to forget what's happened since 2016 and go back into 2015 and 2016, right? And say because Djokovic was winning everything and Nadal looked finished at 30, we're still assuming Djokovic will win everything and Nadal nothing. Most people have not learned. So they continue to predict Djokovic to win everything and Nadal to win nothing, and they continue to get wrong. It's changed. They're 8 Grand Slams each since 2017. It's not happening the way they thought it would happen. But instead, they just want to keep going back to that time when that's how it looked. And that's what we believe. And that's our narrative. And that's our way of thinking about tennis. But it's not a fact-based thing. But I saw it changing in 2017. I see how it's been since 2017. And I see, just like I said it would happen, Nadal's the most physical fit guy that's ever played, probably. So he's going to stay fitter longer and be able to play later than Djokovic if the injuries don't get him. So sometimes you're forced to retire over an injury and you're fit and you could play way longer than the other guy. But unless a freak injury happens, I felt like Nadal would outlast him. And I mean, we've seen like the match against Nadal, Djokovic at this French Open, even then, as the match went on, Djokovic was more tired, right? Djokovic had to go for a lot of power close to the line and hit errors. Nadal looked more physically fit. The Australian Open this year, 5.5 hours. Nadal outlasted Medvedev, a 25-year-old. So forget about a 35-year-old in Djokovic. He outlasted a 25-year-old. So his fitness is like peak 25. Whereas Djokovic, you saw him tired at the end of their match. The US Open final against Medvedev, he said, I don't want to get in these long battles with a young guy anymore. I'm going to go to the net. I'm going to try drop shots. I'm going to hit the ball hard close to the line, but I need to shorten these points. I don't have that energy to do that. Whereas Nadal actually said, not only will I rally with Medvedev, but he's going to get tired before me. So my view is that that's what's happened. And people were all wrong. Djokovic never caught up Nadal. They both won 8 Grand Slams each. And if anything, Nadal looks more like, as far as fitness, he's definitely a more fit place as they've got older than Djokovic. So I just want to let you guys know that. Why most people are wrong, where they got it from, and what's actually happened since then, and what I thought, and how it's actually turned out to be, right? So now let's look at the situation right now. Who is the GOAT of tennis? Nadal is at 22 Grand Slams. Federer is at 20. Djokovic is at 20, right? So if you do it based on Grand Slams, you've got to say Nadal, two ahead, significant. It's clear. They're getting to their set past 35. So it's hard to win a lot of Grand Slams and catch up. So it appears to me that Nadal is definitely the GOAT, right? So, but a lot of people say, oh no, Djokovic has got the most time at number one. So he's the GOAT. And that's a measure of not just Grand Slams, all tennis tournaments, right? Actually, that's not the case because you get rankings points when you like if you made 4 Grand Slam finals in a year, right, and you lost all four, you would get 1,200 for each loss. So for times four, you would be at 4,800 points, right? Let me just see if that's correct. Yeah, 4,800 if you made. So you'd win no Grand Slams, you made four finals, for example, right? 4,800 points, right? If you won 2 Grand Slams and they lost early in the other 2 Grand Slams, you get 4,000. So the guy who didn't win any Grand Slams would have more points according to the ranking system, but have no Grand Slams at all. He may have been beaten by this guy twice in finals. But yet the ranking system says despite not winning any Grand Slams, he's better because you get points from not winning. So that's the point. But I'm saying if you're talking about best of all time, you can't credit any time where you played a tournament and didn't win and say that counts towards being the GOAT, towards being the best of all time. You just can't say that. Because if you weren't the best in that week or 2 weeks or that tournament, someone beat you, you were at best second best in that week. So if you're not the best in that week, how can you count that towards being the best of all time? Because you couldn't even beat everyone in that particular tournament. So you were second best. So why would being second or third or fifth best in a tournament translate to be the best in the whole history of tennis? If you can't be the best in 1 week, how can you be the best of all time? I mean, you can't even play all players. Maybe some players were injured, but the best of all time, when you can't play everybody, there are different generations, there are different tournaments, not everyone can play every tournament. If you can't at least be the best in one tournament, you can't be the best of all time because someone's better than you right now. So considering that, the ranking system, which awards points to players who don't win tournaments, but we know they weren't the best in that week, so we can't count that towards being the best of all time because someone was better than them even in that week. So we can't count the points for tournaments you played in and didn't win. Yes, it's a good performance, but you're not the best in that week, and you're definitely not the best of all time. Not at least in that week you weren't. You didn't play that, right? So you can only say when someone's won a tournament, they were the best in that whole week or 2 weeks. They were better than everyone. No one could beat them, right? So then maybe you could say, well, there are other great players in the history of tennis that weren't in that tournament that week. So maybe if you beat everyone in this tournament, you could beat everyone in the whole future of tennis. If they were there, you're just so good that you could show anyone in there because you were the best in that week. Who's to say that no matter who was in the tournament in the history of the game would beat you? Then it's an argument. Well, someone else in 1960 won a tournament. You won this one. If the two played, we don't know. But if you didn't even win your tournament, then you can't say it. But the ranking system, again, from making a lot of finals, you can get more points. So do you see what I'm getting at here? You can't count tournaments you didn't win to being the best of all time. Now let's go and look at so now we can discount tournaments you played in and didn't win that you can't move towards being the best of all time. So now what are we going to do? We're going to see Has Djokovic won the most tournaments? Is it just Nadal's won the most Grand Slams? And then overall, Djokovic has got this time at number one because he's just won all the other tournaments. Is that the case? Is that why he deserves it, right? So let's look at this, right? Neither of them have won the most of all time, but Federer has currently 103 tournaments won. Nadal 92. Novak Djokovic has 87. So if you want to focus on every grade of tournament and put them equal and saying Djokovic is actually, he's not the best in Grand Slams, but he's been the best in tournaments in general. That's why he spent the time at number one. Well, according to the record books, it actually says Nadal's won more tournaments. And we're talking about all tournaments here, so 92 to 87. So if you focus on all tournaments and put them equal, it's 92 tournaments won for Nadal, 87 for Djokovic, right? If you want to say, well, Grand Slams are much more important, let's focus on those. Well, then in that case, it's 22 Grand Slams for Nadal, 20 for Djokovic, 20 for Federer. So whether you're comparing them on all of the tournaments and putting them equal, so it's not the case who people will say it's just Nadal's only been the best at Grand Slams. Djokovic has spent more time at number one, so he's better in tennis in general and won more tournaments. If you're only focusing on tournaments won, whether you count all tournaments, Nadal's won more, or whether you just focus on the most important type of a tournament, a Grand Slam, Nadal's also won more. So like I said, whatever way you want to calculate on just tournaments won, Nadal's been the best and been better than Djokovic. So yes, a ranking system, you get points when you don't win. So Djokovic has probably been in more finals that he's lost. But how are we going to say he's the best of all time because you're counting tournaments where someone else was better than him? He wasn't the best, better than him. So that can't count for him being the best of all time because he wasn't even the best in that tournament. So then when you just focus on you're being the best in that tournament, no one could beat you, and who knows if anyone could have ever beat you. And just on tournaments won, like I said, 92 to 87 on total tournaments won. And then Grand Slams won 22 for Nadal, 20 for Federer and Djokovic. So I think it's clear because you can't just say you've lost a tournament and you weren't even the best that week and someone's better than you. That means that time can be counted to the best of all time. It can't be because you couldn't even beat the player in that draw. You're not the best player of all time. But you can focus on when you've won tournaments. And by every type of tournament, he's not the best because he's been number one in all other tournaments. Nadal's better than him in all tournaments and better in Grand Slams. So right now, Nadal is GOAT. Okay, it's 2 Grand Slams different, right? Could Djokovic win 2? Of course it's possible. 5 total tournaments. Could he win? Yes. But right now, we can't count tournaments where someone's lost because someone else was better. They were at least number 2, not number 1. So they're not number 1 of all time if they're not number 1 in that tournament. So if it's just about focusing on when you won, you beat everyone there, you could beat everyone in the history maybe. So again, like I said, it doesn't matter whether you focus on all tournaments or just Grand Slams. Nadal's ahead of Djokovic. Now on this list, as we go through it, right? As we go through it, so Federer is actually 103 tournaments ahead of Nadal at 92, 11 ahead, and Djokovic with 87. But then 2 Grand Slams against 9 other tournaments, I guess it's pretty close. But then if you look at the Masters 1000, Djokovic has 38 the most, then Nadal 36. Federer is 8 behind Nadal and 10 behind Djokovic. So considering he's behind Nadal in both the most important Grand Slams by 2 and the second most important Masters 1000 by 8, there's no way Federer can claim to be the best of all time. Djokovic can't because he's behind on both the most important tournaments, Grand Slams, and total tournaments won. The only thing he's ahead is Masters 1000, right? He's ahead in Masters 1000. That's the only thing. 2 Masters 1000, but would you rather have 2 more Masters 1000, right? Or 2 more Grand Slams? You would rather 2 more of the most important category of tournament, Grand Slam, for Nadal and 2 more Masters 1000, Djokovic. And then as far as total tournaments, it's again Nadal by 5. So when it just comes to winning tournaments, 2 Grand Slams more important than 2 Masters 1000. Federer's got the most in total tournaments, but he's behind both of them in Grand Slams and Masters 1000. And then Nadal is ahead of Djokovic in both Grand Slams, the most important, and total tournaments won. And Djokovic's 2 Masters 1000 can't make up for the fact that Nadal has 2 more Grand Slams, because Grand Slams are more important, and Nadal's won 5 more total tournaments, right? So when it comes to the head-to-head, both Djokovic and Nadal have won the head-to-head against Federer. But on the Nadal-Djokovic head-to-head, it's 30-29 in favor of Djokovic. But that's one best-of-3 set match in 60 meetings. Does that one best-of-3 set match count more than 2 whole Grand Slams that Nadal's ahead, and also 5 more total tournaments won? I think winning 5 more tournaments in your career and 2 more Grand Slams counts for more than one best-of-3 set match, right? And they're head-to-head in Grand Slams. It's either 11-7 or 12-7 in favor of Nadal. So Nadal's won 4 or 5 more in their head-to-head in best-of-5 set matches where it's much harder to win, number one, and the tournament you're playing. So there's more pressure, there's more at stake. History is more on the line when you're meeting Grand Slams. Plus, it's best-of-5, and it's more decisive and shows more who the better player. So the fact that Nadal's won 4 or 5 more in best-of-5 sets, that's worth way more than just one more that Djokovic has got in best-of-3. So you can't, at best, they're even. Maybe Nadal's even a bit better on head-to-head. So you can't really give it to anyone based on that. But if you're just focusing on tournaments won, Nadal's 5 ahead in winning all tournaments, and Nadal's 2 ahead in Grand Slams. And then also in the 500 tournaments, because like I said, Nadal is 2 ahead in Grand Slams. Djokovic is 2 ahead in Masters 1000. What about 500? Well, Federer's got the most at 24. And again, we can't say Federer's 7 and 8 behind these 2 guys at Masters 1000. And he's 2 behind Nadal in Grand Slams. So to say you're behind in both Grand Slams and Masters 1000 and Nadal, and you got 1 more 500, that's not going to count for much, right? But Nadal, comparing Nadal and Djokovic, Nadal actually has 23 500 series wins. Djokovic has 14. So if you look at the top 3, Nadal's got 2 more in Grand Slams, Djokovic 2 more in Masters 1000, but then Nadal's got 9 more 500 tournaments than Djokovic. So already, if you say 2 more Grand Slams for Nadal, 2 more Masters 1000 for Djokovic, you'd rather the 2 Grand Slams than the 2 Masters 1000 for Djokovic. But then when you go down and then say, in addition to that, Nadal has 9 more 500s and 9 more 500s, and he also has 5 more total tournaments won. So on the most important, on total tournaments, on 500s, it's only the 2 Masters 1000, but the 2 more Grand Slams for Nadal trump that. The head-to-head, they're about equal, so we're not getting anything from that. So Federer's got more tournaments won than Nadal, but Nadal's got 7 more Masters 1000, 2 more Grand Slams. So you can't give it to Federer based because he's only got 1 more 500, so you'd be giving him the GOAT for 250s. And also Federer's lost the head-to-head to, I think it's 22 to 18 with Djokovic. He's lost. I'm not sure, but I know it's 23 to 16. Nadal's got the head-to-head over Federer too. So, but I mean, with Nadal, two more Grand Slams, five more total tournaments won. Only thing he's got is two less Masters of 1,000 than Djokovic, but making up for that with the two more Grand Slams and nine more 500 tournaments, but then five more total tournaments won. So whether you focus on Grand Slams or total tournaments, Nadal's ahead of Djokovic, and he's behind Federer on the total tournaments, but when he's won the head-to-head against Federer, 23 to 16, he's two more Grand Slams and I think like what is it, seven more Masters of 1,000. You've really got to be pretty clear right now that Nadal is the GOAT of tennis. He's got the most Grand Slams. He's won more total tournaments than Djokovic. He's won the head-to-head against Federer. He's got nine more 500s than Djokovic. But really, when it comes to tournament wins between him and Djokovic, he's got five more tournament wins in total and two more Grand Slams. And their head-to-head is pretty much equal. So you've got to give it to him for sure over Djokovic. And then you give it to him over Federer because he's won the head-to-head. He's got more Grand Slams and seven more Masters of 1,000. So I think those are the big three. Masters of 1,000, Grand Slams, which is ahead in both, and their matches head-to-head, 23 wins to 16 in favor of Nadal, right? And then, like I said, the head-to-head Djokovic, Nadal, we're talking equal, but Djokovic, two more Masters of 1,000, Nadal, two more Grand Slams, so Grand Slams worth more, and then total tournaments won, Nadal's five ahead of Djokovic. So considering whether you're focusing on all tournaments or Grand Slams, it's Nadal, whereas Nadal is only down to Federer on 250s. He's way ahead in Masters of 1,000, Grand Slams, and the head-to-head matchup. So, like I said, you can't count tournaments that you didn't win to be the best in the whole history because you weren't even the best in that tournament. So I've broken down for you tournament wins and why Nadal, when you focus on all tournaments or you zero in on the most important tournaments, Grand Slams, why he's the GOAT, why he's the best in the history of the game. And only with Federer with more tournaments, but that's based from mostly 250s. But the most important tournaments, Masters of 1,000, Grand Slams, and head-to-head, he's way above Federer. Djokovic is way ahead total tournaments, plus two ahead in Grand Slams. So really, Nadal is the GOAT right now. The only thing that could change that in the future would be, like I said, Djokovic is only five behind in total tournaments and two behind in Grand Slams. So Djokovic would have to win those and close the gap. And then he could argue to be the GOAT in the future. But as for right now, Nadal is the GOAT of tennis, right? And the biggest thing being the Grand Slams of all these statistics, Federer's at 20, Djokovic is at 20, Nadal is at 22. And considering Djokovic is now 35, Nadal 36, Federer's 40 going on 41, to be two Grand Slams ahead, it's quite a big deal. So I think it's very clear and definitive as of right now. And a huge year for tennis was this year. We started with Federer at 20 Grand Slams, Nadal 20, Djokovic 20. And then we knew that at the end of 2022, they were going to get old and the chances to win Grand Slams were going to be huge. So considering 2023 onwards, the chances these guys will win Grand Slams were low. They were all tied up at 20 Grand Slams before 2022. These four Grand Slams in 2022 are going to be huge. So far, two of the four Grand Slams have been played, and Nadal's won both, the Australian Open and the French Open. So now he stands at 22 Grand Slams, two above Federer and two above Djokovic. And like I said, he's above Djokovic in total tournaments won. He's above Federer over Masters of 1,000, Grand Slams, and the head-to-head. Both are ahead of Federer in the head-to-head. But I think based on all of these factors, I think as for right now, Nadal's the GOAT. And it's quite clear. And then another factor to add to all this, the consistency at all 4 Grand Slams, to go to win all 4 Grand Slams once and to come back and do it a second time. That's happened for both Djokovic and Nadal. So it puts them ahead of Federer again in that statistic. So again, Federer's most tournaments, again, it's overshadowed by Masters of 1,000, Grand Slams, and head-to-head. And then the fact that Djokovic and Nadal won all 4 twice. But then Nadal's ahead of both in Grand Slams. He's ahead of Djokovic in total tournaments won. He's ahead of Federer in all 3 head-to-head, Grand Slams, Masters of 1,000. So I think when you look at everything all together, I think it's quite clear, as for now, Nadal is the GOAT. But if Djokovic wants to be the GOAT, the two things are total tournaments won, he's 5 behind Nadal, and total Grand Slams won, the most important category of tournaments, he's 2 behind. So he needs to catch up in these areas. Then we can get back to this GOAT, and there may be a conversation in the future. But as of today, the 7th of June, 2022, Rafael Nadal is currently the GOAT of tennis, the best in the history, the best of all time in tennis. So that's my video for today. I've let you know, it's very clear. Rafael Nadal is the GOAT, and why. I've also said, in addition to being clear that Nadal is the GOAT, why? Statistics. I've also reviewed his French Open match, but Nadal has 22 Grand Slams, 14 French Opens, most Grand Slams in history. And he is the GOAT of tennis. But Djokovic is going to be fighting to catch up. But as of today, it's not him, it's Rafael Nadal is the GOAT. So come back, guys, for some more videos. Subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. I've told you my history. I've told you that I predicted all this. I've given you the statistics of why. So you can know going forward, you'll get great information from tennis in the future. So please subscribe. Anytime anyone wins a Grand Slam, I'll do another video of a GOAT debate, and I'll review this whole thing again as it changes. But subscribe for all this. Tomorrow I'll be previewing the whole grass court season, so come back for that video. But yeah, subscribe, guys, and be back hopefully tomorrow for my grass court season preview. That's the video for today. Bye for now, guys. See you guys for the next video. And thanks for being with me. Please subscribe. Bye for now.